Why'd you just giggle?
What's up, and welcome back to Kind of Funny Saw in Review. We are down a couple people today because the vid, it finally got a bunch of people. So because of that, Roger is running the show today, and he saw that intro, and from the control room, we did just hear an amazing little giggle.
I thought that I was being sly there. I thought I was being sly.
Of course, I am Tim Geddes. We're joined today by... It is Christmas in October. Joey Noel.
Hi, I would like to apologize. I lost my voice at the meet and greet last night, so I have this like very fun, sultry voice now.
A lot of fun stuff. Great meet and greet last night at Square Pie, guys.
Fantastic.
So much fun. Shout out to everybody that came through, including the producer/seducer Nick Scarpino.
I also had a great time at the meet and greet. I'm just saying, Joey, next time, maybe we just limit it to no more than 3 carafes of rosé.
Oh, that's gonna be a tough one to get past.
It was tough. We'll
Me, Gia, Jen, Paul. Like, there's just a lot of people that want to drink wine,
I woke
including you.
I woke up today and I was like, that's an odd feeling. Haven't had this feeling in a while. I think they call it hungover.
Yeah. For everybody that didn't know, which is anyone that wasn't at the meet and greet, Nick decided to put on his name tag Tim, which everyone there thought was very funny. Specifically, the nice Mark, the Square Pie guy, one of the titular Square Pie guys, who was giving a very nice speech thanking everyone for being there, including his good friend from Kind of Funny, Tim, while gesturing at Nick. And everyone just kind of laughed and looked around and was like, God damn it, Nick, you are just such a special human being. Running out our group today, of course, we have Latino Heat, the Texas Tree, clicking heads, ripping them to shreds, the Globe-Trotting, head-shotting, Nitro Rifle from Twitch.tv, Andy Cortez.
Just gonna take a little swig, baby.
Swig of that, the quill. Swig of the quill, everybody. Andy's he was one of the ones we lost in the war. But on the road to recovery, how you feeling?
Well, the funniest thing I've been asked by several people, how are you feeling, Andy? I'm like, well, I feel as good as I did on Monday, where I thought I was totally good, and then something happened, and suddenly I was like, why am I sick from this now? That wasn't hurting last time. The worst part, though, I saw a lot of images of the Square Pie Guys meetup and thought, I'm going to buy a little pizza just because it sounds delicious. Took a bite, and I was like, that doesn't taste like pizza. That doesn't taste like anything.
Damn.
Oh,
It's the worst. Just lost my sense of taste last night. Hopefully it comes back soon. But Kevin, it was also like good opportunity to lose weight. I was like, you're right, Kev. You're right.
Yeah. Andy, you spent your whole life taking your taste for advantage. I said that wrong. You get what I'm saying. Rounding out the group today, we have Alfredo Diaz from Austin, Texas.
Just the opposite of Andy right now. Not sick, got my taste buds, trying to put on weight.
Oh, yeah?
wow.
You bulking up?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The Alfredo Diaz story, I feel like. Your entire
It's
life.
the number one, look, can we just say, the
Just say
number
it.
one privilege that anybody in America can have is, I'm putting on weight to bulk up. Go fuck yourself.
I just feel like every single time he says, I have trouble keeping the weight on, the little bit of my soul that's left dies.
Yeah.
Fredo, I got about 25 pounds you can have if you want them right now. I'll ship them over.
At that point, Nick, we just go, I get it, bro. Same here.
Well, everybody, this is Saw in Review. Unfortunately, it is coming to a close very soon. This is the penultimate episode thus far. Hopefully, we get some more of these movies in the future. Again, to bring up the Square Pie Guys meetup for a final time today. Shout out to everybody that brought up Saw in Review. People are loving this, and it was so good to see people in real life be like, yo, thank you guys for doing it. This is so much fun. So that was really cool. But of course, this is Kind of Funny's in Review, where each and every week we get together to rank, review, and recap different movie franchises. We're doing Jigsaw today. Next week will be Spiral from the Book of Saw. And then after that, we will return to where it all began, the MCU in review. We'll do a rewatch of Captain Marvel 1 leading into the Marvels the following week. So get hyped for all of that. You can get it on youtube.com/kindafunny or roosterteeth.com. You can also get it as a podcast by searching your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny in Review, and we will be right there for you. If you want to go above and beyond, though, you can go to patreon.com/kindafunny. Just like our Patreon producers, James Hastings, Jedi Master Deadpool, Casey Andrew, and Nathan Lamoth have done. Thank you all so very much. Today we're brought to you by BetterHelp, but we'll tell you all about that later. For now, let's get into it. Jigsaw, formerly known as Saw Legacy.
Oh.
but they decided to change the name. Makes sense. This being one of the first, I would say, kind of legacy sequels in the horror vibe. Maybe not first, but it was definitely that era, that 2017 era of like, let's give the more modern
reboot,
ones a reboot. So you can definitely feel those vibes in this one.
How many years after the last Saw movie did this come out?
So this one had a runtime of 1 hour 32 minutes. It was released on October 27th, 2017. 10 years after Saw 3 to the date.
Wow.
But it was 7 years after Saw 3D, which was the previous one.
That's the biggest gap we've seen so far.
Definitely. I mean, up until this point, it was annualized.
Yeah.
So like this was the first time it took more than a year to make another Saw movie. This one was directed by identical twin brothers.
Awesome.
Awesome. Peter Spierig and Michael Spierig, known collectively as the Spierig brothers.
Man,
We don't know their names.
They are identical.
that's incredible.
They're German-Australian film directors, producers, and screenwriters, best known for their 2014 sci-fi thriller, Predestination. I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool.
Never heard about that.
Is it a Final Destination
I don't know.
prequel?
A little prequel?
I'll look it up right now.
We'll never know. Music, once again, done by Charlie Clouser. This one had a budget of $10 million, actually making it one of the cheapest of the Saw
Oh
movies.
my God, Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, it's Ethan
Sarah
Hawke.
Snook from.
Oh, shit. Secession.
Yeah.
Let's see. For his final assignment, a top temporal agent must pursue the one criminal that has eluded him throughout the time. The chase turns into a unique, surprising, and mind-bending exploration of love, fate, identity, and time travel taboos.
Oh,
Fuck
man.
yeah,
Oh,
dude.
Loki.
Let's fucking watch this tonight.
Span Saw and review to include this.
Exactly. Just like Balls of Fury with Mortal Kombat. So this one had a budget of $10 million with a return of $104.2 million at the box office, which was a lot more even than Saw 3D.
Oh.
So
Oh no.
Things are finally starting to look up for Alfredo. He got things on one shelf. Look at that, everybody.
I knew, dude. I had to throw something on there.
oh shit. Are those the fucking nightmare frames from
Yeah,
Code
Nightmare
Geass?
frames.
Hell yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Sick as
Oh,
fuck.
back up.
Anyway, yeah, that's all the stats I have for you. Let's talk about this movie. Andy Cortez, I want to start with you. What'd you think of Jigsaw?
Fucking stinker. Just a stinker of a movie. I just was not a fan of really much of this until, of course, the end stinger with the G pops in, and you start to kind of figure out what the twist is. And I thought all that was kind of cleverly done, but throughout all of this, it's shot so terribly, way more than any of the other ones had been. It looks like just a TV show in pretty much the whole time, and like this movie needed a lot of film grain and really weird color grading in order to give it some semblance of professionalism, because it just looked like stock footage, like stock camcorder fucking, we're just gonna put it in Premiere and edit it. Like it just looked very amateur. And throughout most of it, it just felt like a cheap imitation of like somebody trying to do a Saw movie. And I was not really a big fan of it. Even when we have that big reveal of Tobin Bell, I was still like, I should feel awesome in this moment. I'm just not. This is just not working for me. But those final moments kind of brought me back of, this happened 10 years ago. This was the first crap, blah, blah, blah. Like all of that stuff I thought was pretty damn smart, and I ended with a better taste on my mouth, even though I couldn't taste it, than I did at the beginning of basically throughout the rest of the movie. I assume this is going to rank pretty damn low, if not the worst for me. I just wasn't really vibing with much of the rest of the movie the whole time.
Nicholas.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like a spin-off of a prequel series from a show that we used to love, right? Remember when they did, like, we had The Walking Dead, and then we had Fear the Walking Dead, and they were like, oh no, it's still The Walking Dead, and then it was like, oh, some of them ride bikes. This feels like it's just a random, like, we're cashing in, we're trying to grab some money, It's anecdotally related to Jigsaw. We're gonna come up with kind of a reason for him to come back.
His nephew.
It's just we're stretching on this one. But having said that, still enjoyed it because the traps I thought were kind of interesting. I think that for the first time in a lot of these movies, I sort of saw the twist coming because they weren't super subtle with the little crumbs that they were dropping along the way. Namely, when he was like, "Oh, we've never seen this machine before. No one's ever seen this before." I was like, "All right, well, when we see this, I'm like, oh, this was earlier. This was super earlier." But then the way they went about like the bodies and the new people, that was so poorly set up that it just felt ham-fistedly shoved in the end. And then we go through that series of moments where the guy's like, "You want to see how I switched the bullets?" I'm like, "No, we get it. We don't care. I don't care that you had to do all those things, but they showed you every single one of them. That's how smart this guy is." So yeah, I enjoyed it, but I do think that we're a little bit long in the tooth with how far away we're straying from the core Jigsaw values.
The Jigsaw values. Alfredo, what about you?
This is probably my fourth time watching this, and the first 3 times, I don't know what I was thinking because I remembered it being good, and it's not. The acting is inconsistent. There's a lot of just weird flaws that we'll get to. And I don't know. I just didn't like the payoff was solid, but I feel like the traps were very lackluster for me. I wasn't a big fan of the traps, and I don't know. It fell short. I don't know why. I went into this going like, yeah, I remember this being good, and I went, why did I think this was good?
Even they knew that the traps weren't great for you because like when the grain is falling to that thing, they're like, "Fuck it, throw sharp things at them now." It felt so weird.
And for some reason, like the tapes were like the hardest things to get.
Yeah.
Why? Like, there's one that's so high. It's like I don't know. You get hopefully you reach it. Like I don't know. Yeah, there's a lot of just like weird technical flaws from my perspective that I just didn't enjoy.
Joey.
I feel like we need to talk about the poster for this movie first. You can kind of see it like in the background, but it's just John Kramer like weirdly with the paint on it, and every time I saw it, like when I was looking stuff up, it made me laugh because I'm like, why are we dressing him up like the puppet?
For the marketing, all the main actors were in this makeup.
Oh.
And there was a poster for all of them.
It looks like a bad Rob Zombie movie, or rather, just a Rob Zombie.
Yeah. Just like, okay, this is anything. I feel like for me, my first like inkling that this was like not gonna be my favorite Saw movie was that I feel like they used the cool music a lot early on in this movie, and I'm like, oh, this is like not great because I feel like we save that music for the moments that need it, and then using it too much just like kind of makes it lose its power. This movie for me also is just like, it's very forgettable. I watched it literally this morning and I'm like, nothing about this will I remember by this time tomorrow. The traps I think are like pretty boring. Nothing like even thinking about one we're gonna rank later, I'm like, I don't even know if I have a favorite one. They're kind of whatever. And I think the other thing that this movie is missing is it's not bad enough to have fun with. And I think as much as we hate Jill and we love hating on her, having something to hate, I think makes talking about these movies way more fun. And everything is just kind of like, meh, fine. Everyone showed up. Nobody was like the worst performance ever, and nobody was giving anything good. So I think it's just forgettable. I think, yeah, I agree with Nick that the further we kind of tangentially get away from Jigsaw stuff, I think it's just weak. It's a lot of new characters introduced, which makes sense because it's 7 years after. There's not a lot of strings you can pull probably from those other ones. So I kind of get why it is what it is, but it just feels like we haven't made a Saw movie. Let's try and see if we can do it again. And it just kind of failed at that for me. Tim?
Yeah, so this is my second time seeing it. Saw it in theaters with James Burke. And I remember both of us leaving the theaters being like, that wasn't good, was it? It's like, oh God, I love that we're seeing another Saw movie, but like, oh, that really kind of didn't hit how we needed it to. In this in review, watching them all, I've just been loving it so much, loving the journey. Watching this one, I gotta say, I don't like it, but I appreciate it. Like, there's something about it where it is just the gritty reboot of Saw. It is a legacy sequel, reboot, whatever you want to call it. But I love that it committed to the timeline. I love that it got even more convoluted and stupid. It did that in some ways that are like, there was another Apprentice. Like,
Yeah.
Another one. And he's been there since the beginning and we've never heard about him. Like,
Yeah.
that's the type of stuff that I'm like, oh man, like I find that really hard to wrap my head around. But we see them making the bear trap and like some of the dumb fun things that they added, like going to the crazy woman's museum of all the different traps. How the hell did she get them all? I don't know. But like, that's a cool
The
concept.
sauce or the Scream, like,
Dude, she gets them from
Homage.
jigsawrules.com.
Fuck yeah, dude. But no, real talk, I just enjoy that stuff. And like to Andy's
You
point
can
about
only show the bear trap so many times to pull it like the.
Your heart.
This is
You
the
can only
thing.
show Cap shield so many times in newer Marvel projects. I'm gonna be like, all right, but that shit was good back then, you know?
yeah, it's so funny, but like to Andy's point about the way it's shot and stuff, like this is just such a modern, at this point it was like 10 years ago, Saw movie that like because of that it just kind of loses the fun of what a Saw movie is. Like I feel like it's too good to be what Saw's supposed to be, and it's not good enough to actually be good, and that puts that weird place that Joey's talking about where it's like there's less things to like actively make fun of. And I just think that in so many ways this movie addresses the criticisms we've had of a lot of the other ones, but it kind of just goes too far. Like it's just the trap, when you just think about the farm trap, it is by far the most intricate thing ever. These 5 people have to do multi-layered games the entire time while they're being pulled by a chain room to room to room in these like extremely extravagant situations that at some point it's just like really breaks your brain of like, so you're telling me that this was like the first trap they did? Like it's the final trap is a saw tornado. Like it's just fucking insane. Like when you think like why was that the first trap? And then they go to a reverse bear trap. It's like something about that just doesn't add up. And I think it's really funny. But just the beginning of the movie opening with go for it.
I mean, do they go? Yeah, I guess they do go to a reverse bear trap because one of them, Tim, is also just like, hey, your leg is locked in here. You gotta cut it off.
Yeah. The other one, don't forget, is we're going to bury you in grain and then throw nails at you.
But see, here's the thing though. That did get me. The thing started following them and then them falling even more. It was hilarious. Like that to me was the moment. This is so stupid that I love it, and I wanted more of that type of shit. And Joey's point about the music coming in way too early. I love that this one unabashedly was just like, it's our fucking theme song. Let's fucking use it like superhero shit. And because of that, I appreciate this shit. I again don't think it's that great. I think it's gonna rank really low. But I was surprised at how much I enjoyed watching this movie, just because of how different it was. But I don't want more like this. And seeing Saw 10. It's like, oh yeah, that's the direction. Like that's
Yeah.
what Saw is.
It's funny though, because like, you look at the two of them and are they that far apart? That's what's so weird about all of these movies is there's such a thin line between enjoyable and boring. And like all of these criticisms we have, by the way, are like pros for some of the other movies.
Yeah.
The acting's terrible in this. Yeah, well, the acting's terrible in the ones we love, right? But it's just the right mixture of bad acting and schlock and ultra gore and stupid twists that they kind of didn't set up, but they did set up, which is exactly this movie we're talking about. It's interchangeable. But for some reason, this one's just missing that charm and that enjoyment factor.
I think you bring up a good point, Nick, about the body switching, like time travel stuff. Because like again, there's a lot of cool shit in this. Like when it comes to breaking down the twist, it's awesome. Like there's a lot of and it's Jill Tuck's fucking farm. They reference
course.
all the right things and try to make it all work and cool. But they don't set up the body switching well at all.
No, they don't set it up at all.
To the point that like even when they explain it, it's like this just doesn't work. This isn't fun. But I will say, you saying that they're pretty heavy-handed about like setting it up and foreshadowing and all that. When we see him for the first time shirtless and he has like the cuts on his back, of course we're all like, what's going on here? But now that this is my second time seeing the movie, I didn't notice that they he has like a t-shirt and he like puts it in front of his face and the t-shirt hole like is in front of his eyes, and when he's standing in front of the mirror, he looks like he has the bucket head thing on.
No, I didn't see
And it's
that.
like, damn, they're expelling this out,
Yeah.
which is
That's
pretty
interesting.
sick. But
I mean,
also,
I just thought he was captured in Fallujah. Like that's
I think that's
They
what
did
that was.
mention that a lot.
That was the red herring, but the second you see saw marks on his back, I was like, all right, this guy's
Yeah.
definitely been in one of the
Nuts.
Jigsaw traps. My thought though was that he
Why?
was in one of the traps and then was picking up the mantle. And it was gonna the whole time they're gonna be like, oh, it's Halloran. Oh, it's this other lady that has the museum. Oh no, it's really this guy. But I'm like,
That's what it was.
and that's exactly what it was. But I don't know, it just wasn't as validating as I wanted it to be. Largely because you're like, it's definitely this guy, right? like the second he was on screen, I was like, he's too nice. He's the killer.
Yeah.
He's the bad guy, right?
I do appreciate that it wasn't the girl though. Like I feel like they set it up so obviously that it was her that like it's good that it wasn't.
See, I'm thinking it's going to be a Scream 2 scenario here where it's her and him.
Well, I mean that's the thing too. I mean this movie ends with the two of them out there. So
Yeah, but he says that she's not. He was like, she's going to be my alibi, and so he alludes to the fact that she has no idea what's going on. But
yeah, she doesn't know, but I mean she's alive. She
Yeah.
picks him up or whatever. So I don't know if we'll ever follow up on these threads, but it's
Dear
like
God, I hope not.
I thought it was going to be kind of like, I remember when I first saw this, kind of like a Saw 2 situation, because Anna, the one girl, kind of like was leading the pack and kind of knew what was going
yes,
on.
Yeah.
like maybe
So I
she was.
like,
Yeah, exactly.
But they're not going to do that again, will they?
yeah.
That's where my head was at the
Because
first
she
time
was
seeing it.
really smart too. She's like, oh, we need. I was like, you heard one line from this guy in a high stress situation, and you figured that out every single time. She's always figuring it out, except for the last time, which was sad because she got her head blown off.
Yeah.
But was there a line that like said everyone's name, because some of them knew each other, like they knew each other's names?
I
might have missed
imagine
that.
in between the moments they were like, "Who are you?" Okay, you're Anna. You're Mitch. You know, like if I woke up chained to a wall with Tim, I'd be like, we should have the pleasantries.
Yeah.
We should say each other's
Yeah.
names at some point. You know what I mean? Let's not dispense with.
You a peanut M&M guy, normal M&M guy?
I mean, I go both ways, but I usually skew peanut M&M
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
It's
Is a
criteria.
hot dog a taco or whatever the fuck?
Why did you do that voice for it?
Because it's like a,
Taco.
it's a podcast thing. I don't know.
I love it. Speaking of podcasts, you can get these podcasts ad-free by going to patreon.com/kindafunny. Everyone else has to hear an ad like this one. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Do you ever feel like your brain is getting in its own way? I can't even count the amount of nights I lose sleep just because I can't stop thinking and my brain just won't stop talking. It turns out one great way to make those racing thoughts go away is to talk through them. Therapy gives you a great place to do that so you can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace. And it can give you the tools to find more balance in your life so you can keep supporting others without leaving yourself behind. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapist anytime for no additional charge. You can make your brain your friend with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny. BetterHelp.com/kindafunny. All right, Andy, hit me with the plot music.
I'd like to hear the plot.
As Eleanor once said, jig fucking saw. Let's kick this off, ladies and gentlemen, with a high-speed chase. Cops roll out a spike strip, and Edgar eats it.
Kind of love this. Like the first shot we see, like the music's playing, and it's like a zoom in on the rollout spike thing. You think it's a trap, but it's like, no, dude, it's a fucking cop thing. High speed chase, baby.
Things.
They chase him up to the roof of a warehouse where he sees an X painted on an I-beam, the back of which he finds a remote detonator. The cops, of course, Edgar is screaming. He's like, I want Halloran. I want Halloran. Halloran, of course, comes up. And you guys will know this guy from the stint he did on Californication. I think it's the only thing I know him from.
Of course. Yeah. Of course. Maybe not.
But he's been in everything. This actor has been a bit like a character in like 30 television shows, I swear to God. Cool gray hair. Thinning. Still looking good, though. Of course, Halloran's like, says to everyone, aim for the detonator. Out loud. I'd be like, fuck, don't do that. Like, what do you, I don't know.
And I don't really think that that's like a
That's not how
cop
that works.
thing. Like, I feel like, aren't cops like trained to like take out somebody like that? Like, I don't think they're just gonna shoot the guy.
I don't know that they shoot the guy anyway, because usually, I don't know if they know what kind of trigger it is. Usually it's like a dead man switch where when you let it go, you've
Yeah.
seen the movie Speed, of course.
Of course.
Right. That's the preferred
Yeah.
switch of,
Choice.
your bad guy.
Yeah.
You
Got
know,
to keep
but
the pressure on it.
Mhm.
yeah, generally it's one of those things where this whole situation is so high stress, and all you want someone to do is go, hold on, everyone. Edgar, what's going on? Why are you doing this? Except, but no, whatever. And bah, and someone shoots him right in the chest, and then 3 people blow his fucking hand off like RoboCop.
It was insane. The amount of bullets, the amount of just violence in this,
Hand
and then for it to be
explosion.
revealed later that the fucking dude like snipes him from a different building. It's just so funny.
So dumb. The sniping thing was when I was like, oh, this is bad.
Yeah.
We wrote ourselves into a corner here, and the third act, we just have to write all this away. And it's the worst kind of storytelling where it's just like
No,
retroactively putting things in.
Nick, you can't assume that. You just got to assume that they wrote it badly in the first place. Like, I don't think they like messed up and then we're like, oh, we got to figure this out. Like, I think they thought all of this was just extremely smart.
Maybe, but to me, what it ends up reading not on the page, but what we see is that you go back and they were like, shit, wait, who shot him? Let's just have a scene where he's up with a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
I gotta assume they wrote that first. They were like, but check this out. Like at the end,
Maybe,
it's really
maybe.
Wouldn't all of these cops also be able to tell that like the bullet went in a different way?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Everyone shot at the same time.
Body, though?
But perhaps,
But just like the entry and exit wounds.
well,
of
he
that
was the
one.
corner though.
He's the corner.
But all of these cops are also looking at all these bodies and see so many.
My thought was, didn't you know what a sniper rifle sounds like from like 30 feet away? That's a little bit, I don't know, but I guess everyone shot at
It
the same
sucks
time.
because like all that shit, like the reveal and stuff is just kind of like weird instead of fun. But the concept of this Edgar guy with the detonator, thinking he's in a Jigsaw game, thinking that that this is the game he's in, it's cool, and being so
It's
far
interesting.
removed from the Saw movies, like I do like that in this world the legacy of Jigsaw lives on, and there's a fear.
A timer goes off, of course, waking 5 people who are all chained to the wall in front of them. They have mop buckets on their heads that are attached via something. Their necks are all chained to the wall. And man, there's a lot of circular saws in the walls across from them. Of course, big old getting jiggy with it comes over the loudspeaker with another banger. Cleanse your souls of your habitual lies. All these people are liars. And at this point, I'd be like, I'm going to confess everything to everyone. I got nothing left to confess because what these people did, horrendous. But again, wall of saws right in front of you.
I did like that. I felt like this was the first Saw movie where we got like an excessive amount of saws themselves.
So many
which I
saws.
appreciated.
Well, not only that, but he's making the thing at the end. And you're like, oh, another little, season that in for the next movie, whatever that weird saw box was that looked like a music box. Pretty cool. Anyway, one guy in the corner is still knocked out. One lady, I believe named Anna, figures it out. She goes, an offering of blood, no matter how little, we have to cut ourselves. And then she cuts herself and the saw cuts. And this question I have is like, were the saw blades themselves sensitive to blood, or was he just watching the entire time? I imagine he was just watching.
I think
right?
he was
Oh, he
watching.
was, because we
He was
see him come out
watching.
afterward.
And
Yeah. Later we see that he was like watching
That's
because he's
right.
actively like seeing who's in what and who's where. Because the guy that gets his leg strapped in, like he's talking to him.
yeah.
You know
Which is,
what
I
mean? So you
think,
have to know.
I think the coolest thing about this movie is Jigsaw himself, and like they reveal him, and you're like, how is he still here? And when there's the reveal that at that moment he's still alive and it's still happening, it's like, how are they going to play this off? And then when I noticed that, like, yeah, he's actively talking to these people, or like he's reacting to what they're actually doing. It's
like,
like,
oh, he's here.
How is this happening? Like, how is this possible? And I feel like that was cool. Like to have him like being actively doing the recordings and like editing and stuff. Cool idea.
It was
I
cool.
did think though that violence-wise, we kind of crossed the threshold into Fast and Furious land, where when you land on a car, you're totally safe, and
Cut yourself with a saw.
hear them just being like, yeah, just cut your arm. We see, we're good. And it's like, I mean, that should still like instill a lot of trauma and pain, and it just felt like the most easy of tasks for all of these people to just like the lady that one blonde lady that just gets her back all cut up.
Carly.
Like, I thought like that she may not
She's
make
dead.
I thought that was going to be a situation like in Saw 2 where that one girl, the young girl, doesn't make it through because she's sick the whole way. Like I thought Carly was going to like eventually just pass out the following one immediately because of those back wounds or whatever. But they were treated so minimally that I wasn't a huge fan of that. It just felt like, yeah, no big deal. You just got a little cut on your arm.
Also cut to Mitch, who's like, I'll lose the tip of my finger and I'll just put it up against the blade. And I was like, maybe I give it a little shoulder or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
No,
he needs like a
here's
little
my
tricep
finger,
meat.
Shut away.
Yeah, you need the tip of that finger.
Oh, I thought he was just doing like just a little like a little, like he was just kind of touching it.
I guess
That
that's what he
felt
was trying to do. I was
risky.
like,
Yeah, you're
man,
still getting that thing
that's
lopped off.
risky.
Ugh.
One by one, of course, everyone frees themselves except for the dude with the bucket on his head in the corner who just woke up, was like, what the hell's going on? And is screaming for him to cut himself. And he's like, what? And then he dies and everyone else makes it out. Of course, Carly took a few in the back. Man, she's still standing. We cut back over to Halloran, who gets the news that Edgar is in a coma for just the appropriate amount
But he
of time.
doesn't die, right?
We think he dies.
Think he
then.
dies.
Yeah.
Because a second later, we see the buckethead guy fall off the
Yeah.
overpass, and we're meant to assume that those are the same people.
Yeah. We don't
So-
actually see the guy die.
No, we see him
That-
go into the
No.
thing.
Yeah.
But this is the one thing I don't love about the movie is when we cut to we'll skip ahead. We cut to that later, and Jigsaw's like, "Oh no, you weren't supposed to die." And it's kind of like that thing where you're like, when everyone sees this show and they're like, "Man, these guys are like a well-oiled machine," and then they come visit the studio and they're like, "Oh, you guys have no idea what you're doing." It makes it like it loses all credibility for Jigsaw. Like, why'd you put this guy in there in the first place if you were gonna forgive him before he leaves the, you know what I'm saying? Because they said,
Look,
"Oh
man, we all
he
make
reali-
mistakes, Nick. You know.
They said he realized Jigsaw made a mistake. Was like, this guy shouldn't be here anyway. I'm like, well, that's a pretty big fucking mistake, Mr. Saw.
Mr. Saw. Yeah.
I was also kind of in that I'm glad to have found out that that was the actual reveal for it all, because in that moment, for that to be one of like the first big deaths aside from, you know, the dude getting his hand shot or whatever, and that wasn't even a death, but like this was all obscured by the camera moving into the next room, right?
Yeah.
We're it's supposed to look like he's like going and he's gonna die, and you just hear it's just off camera, you know, that's an off camera death, whatever. But in that moment, I was like, oh, this feels so cheap already. Like that's something they didn't even want to show because maybe they don't even have the budget for whatever that gore would have been. I was extremely disappointed by that, and then made a lot happier knowing that that was all just part of the twist.
I did enjoy so much. Like maybe it might be my second favorite Jigsaw moment ever. Number one is from Saw 1 when he gets up and he's all like,
Oh, we're covering you here. We gotta.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, he throws it back and he's like, oh.
Yeah.
so that's my number one favorite. This doesn't
Taking back
quite come
shots.
that close to it, but I do love that when he grabs the buckethead guy to get him, he kind of goes like,
Yeah, he's. Oh no! Yeah, it's really fun. It's really fun because you know what? Because you know why? Because he doesn't want to be seen by the people that next to him. He was like, "Ooh."
Do you think he learned those moves from Jill running?
Definitely.
oh, 100%. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Lord. He saw her run and was like, "This is how you do it." Wow.
Like for real though. Why did he do that?
So fucking funny. Back at the morgue, they use James Bond lasers to take the bucket off the dude's head. And this is where this series loses all credibility.
A laser in the first act, Nick.
A laser is what
Yeah.
they wrote into this.
Did
And
you
here's-
think that you would see the lasers come back later?
No, I had hoped that I didn't because laser
They're smarter than
technology
you.
like that does not exist in anyone's world. And it certainly doesn't exist in the random Detroit morgue. Where's the Chicago morgue that these things are happening in? When you introduce an element that's so fantastic like this, you take your genre from horror to sci-fi horror. And then we
Yeah.
start losing a lot of the reality of what these traps are. These traps are always analog feeling. And so when you have a laser and you have all this high-tech stuff, you're like, what, this isn't Jigsaw. This doesn't feel anything like it. But again, one could argue that it's not Jigsaw.
It's not. Yeah.
Logan.
It's Logan.
But still, you have to have a level of
not
believability
Jigsaw,
for the
bitch.
unbelievability of these movies, and this one breaks that reality for me completely. I was like, "Oh, laser, this is dumb."
I love when there was fake lasers.
Which again,
Dude.
to their credit, I was like, "That's weird. Why didn't it cut his face?" And then when it cuts Halloran's
Yeah.
face, I was like, "Oh, he looks like the Demigorgon."
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that was crazy.
It's open.
Let's see. Back at the morgue, yada yada yada. We learned Kramer's been dead for 10 years. Is this a
Awesome.
copycat? They examine the puzzle piece cut out from the dead guy's neck and find a flash drive in it that says, "And then there were 4."
I like how we went high tech in this moment. We got the
Yeah.
tapes. We're going digital. That's how you know it's a real reboot.
We're going digital. But then there's an audio message from Jigsaw that says, "The game ain't never gonna stop." And we're like, wow, how'd they get his voice if he's really dead? Don't worry, we've got all those audio recordings that Logan's been saving up for years that he's gonna go into Premiere Pro and cut little by little out to make this. I'm like, what are we doing? That's
See-
absurd. First off,
I love it.
it's so
One-
ridiculous.
Super absurd. 2, he just had like a snippet of Jigsaw saying Edgar.
That's a really good point. That is a really good point. Maybe he had to wait for a really long, like maybe Edgar was one of the names of another victim, and he had to wait a really long time until he found an Edgar that was related to Halloran, so he could set up Halloran for this whole thing. Also, not for nothing, but we've already seen this plot line, right? Of the killer who's also a cop setting up another cop to take the fall. I'm like, we're just rehashing the same.
Oh, in so many ways.
But not
God.
as good.
Not nearly as good because we don't have a cool smash, like a cool ice coffin. I couldn't even get it out. Anyway, let's see. In the audio message, it says
I
game.
want to we skipped this earlier. At some point, they said the game. It started, and then later, like, I hope it's a game because games can be won.
Because games can be won.
love you guys.
Yep.
I almost turned it off right there. Because my problem with that, it's not the fact that it happened. It's that the fact that they thought they killed it with that, and like, I would prefer that line be said in an older movie with a way worse actor delivering it, And at that moment, I may have laughed, but like that line, they thought like, oof, people are gonna love this shit. Saw's back, baby.
Let's see. The players spot Jigsaw's mannequin coming at them with a note taped around its neck that says "confess." It starts laughing, and the machine kicks up. Now, here's the thing about the mannequin. It's out. Billy's outstayed its welcome. When it comes in, it's comically bad in this one. To the point too where none of them have the reaction that they should have from this because they're all having the reaction we're having as a viewer, which is that this is dumb and cheesy and just mildly off-putting. And Ryan even's like, "Oh, that's not creepy or anything," which is something you would say in a comedy, not a horror movie. So
And that's one of the worst. That's another terrible line and line delivery. Well, that's not creepy at all. Like,
Right.
oh God, kill me, dude.
Jesus.
But Nick, I'll tell you what, I love the bouffant. I love the bouffant of this little guy.
Oh.
His little hair wig is so funny. This little doll. It looks so funny in this one.
But here's why it's so off-putting to me, and not in a good way, in a way that makes me like question everything. No, it's not that. Is there someone in this thing?
No.
It feels like it's gotten bigger.
It feels like it's getting bigger. Like they were like, we don't have the animatronics, so we just cast a very large
It's
child.
10 years later. He got older.
I meant to bring
Yeah.
that up. I meant to
Like,
bring
It's
Come
getting
on.
bigger, right?
I meant to
agree.
bring this up
Because before it was like this big, and then now it's the size of a full-size grown-out 12-year-old.
When we did Saw X and Jigsaw rides out, Nick under his breath goes, "That's a person in there, right?" And it's obvious that it's not a person in there.
I think
It's big.
So first off, this is the first Saw movie to use flat screen TVs. Just important to note there. But I think because of that, Billy, like, he's just so so HD. Like
That is,
I
there is a
hated it.
child in that.
his eyes just
So
glowing.
awkwardly HD.
Oh my God.
I hated not only like, again, throw it back on old analog TVs, throw it back on old tube TVs, but just like the fact that these TVs were hanging from the ceiling like a Buffalo Wild Wings, with, like the fucking nuts and shit. It just looks so stupid, man.
It just looks
It was,
dumb.
it was also so weird because like when we're watching this is the first game, right? This is the game that happened before all the games.
Mm-hmm.
So the TV is just super HD. For what reason?
That is
You
a
know what I mean?
really, really, really solid
It's
point.
fucking stupid.
That
These
is
are
a
the
really good
technical things
point.
I'm talking about
That's-
because like they could have just slapped a regular tube TV and no one would question it whatsoever.
Well, the production designer would have questioned it because they would have said, "We only have $10 million and we can't find CRT TVs anymore that work. So we got to go with flat screens." But that's a good point. If you want something, if you want to seed that cleverly, you want to seed out that this is a prequel that happened 10 years ago, you usually give them like different clothes. The TVs are from that era. They have Nokia flip phones, right? They're not using all these, like all the, they go into this lab and it is like a modern CSI Miami, like current, probably like way more state of the art than we even have right now. We've never seen that in a Saw series so far. But
But I thought some of the props, I thought some of the things being shown were from the 10 years after test. Or no, never mind. Never
no,
mind.
because Halloran,
Yeah.
I don't know. It gets very confusing very quickly.
Mhm.
But oh no, wait. Yes, you're right. Most of this movie is happening 10 years later. So that tech does make sense. But what doesn't make sense is having the tech. Oh no. Duh. I'll tell you this. No, Alfredo, we're dumb. We're dumb. The flat screen TVs are happening currently. But it makes sense that he would have gone back potentially and replaced all the old CRT TVs from 10 years ago in that barn with newer TVs because he did all the new tech for the new game that's happening right now with the 3 people we've never seen that end up dying. So it would make sense that the barn would have modern technology because he is running a game present day in the barn.
Yeah, it's a present day game.
I'd like you to apologize to the actor that plays Logan now. Please.
Yeah, sorry, Matt.
There you go. There you go. Did I just break your brain, Tim?
Yeah, honestly, this is something that, like, even just watching this movie, I'm still not entirely clear on. Is
I'm telling you, man. Doesn't he look like he's about to break into "Tell me how am I supposed?"
You're right. But I'm wrong. But I am wrong because we've gone full circle. Alfredo, yank your apology. Because we saw
The third time we've gone full circle.
yank your apology. Rescind your apology, Alfredo, because I think we saw some of those flat screens in the barn when the original people were going through it. Yes.
so
that's
for
wrong.
sure. I mean, including when Edgar? No, when
When Anna and Ryan
when he
and
gets stuck in the fucking thing.
yeah,
and,
he
like,
looks at a
TV and it's a
16:9
flat
TV.
screen.
You're right.
But so there's that. But also something that I've never understood: the modern game, like in real life or in real time, there's a couple of people dying that are dying in the exact same ways that these people are.
Correct.
Did they actually go through the test though, or
Yes.
did he just kill them
Oh, I don't know.
in that style?
I think he put him through the test.
Yeah, it's in like.
Because he said,
We
remember
got
they said,
so little of that
oh,
that
there
it's
were
hard to tell,
there were
right?
3 contestants and we're the last 2 or whatever it is.
Yeah, he did say that.
But I don't know if he's
Oh, yeah.
bullshitting or not. But he must have got the bodies from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
I guess he's a more
corner. Yeah.
coroner, so he can just pull bodies off the streets. Anyway, this is convoluted, and this is why this is the worst movie. We'll keep going. Anyway, we get to the next challenge where they're all about to hang unless they confess. Mitch confesses. Everyone starts confessing, but Carly realizes this is for her because there's 3 needles, one of which has 355 on it. Turns out she was a drug addict, and she robbed a lady who had asthma. And instead of running back and giving this lady her asthma inhaler, with 0 risk to her because this lady is suffering from an asthma attack, she just left and stole the $3.55 and the woman died.
Yo, their backstories, all of their backstories are fucking
atrocious.
hilarious. Like
They're atrocious.
Like the woman that kills the baby, like the layers to that story being revealed are so insane.
She technically kills her husband too because she drove her husband insane. And then
Right.
Mitch,
Yeah.
of course, the best, of course, is that Mitch sold a kid an overpowered motorcycle for $500 that he knew had a faulty brake line. Now, if you know a motorcycle has a faulty brake line, first off, any vehicle, but a motorcycle specifically with a faulty brake line is very, very dangerous. That's basically a death sentence for anyone going above the fucking 10 miles an hour, right? This thing's what, 1100cc Harley? This thing's gonna be rocking. By the way, a brake job, I looked it up. Average cost of a brake job on one of these bikes is like $100. You could have fixed this and not killed the guy and still made $400 on this.
My
deal.
favorite shot in this entire movie is from that scene when he like steps on the fluid that leaks out of the bike. And you're just like,
Go look it up.
this is how you're gonna convince us that he just didn't notice, or the kid didn't notice it.
I mean, by the way, the kid would have gotten 3 feet, and I'm like, these brakes don't work that great. What's going on with this?
Yeah. But
Also, kids, if you're gonna buy a motorcycle from anyone, take it to a shop first. Have them look it over. Make sure you do that because never trust anyone with a used car or a motorcycle. Have someone look it over.
But also,
Important safety
said
tip.
kid, what, Jigsaw's nephew?
Just your nephew. Yeah. Yep.
For what reason? For what reason?
Look at this Benedict Cumberbatch looking ass.
It's, again, and it is weird too. And like, I watched this a couple days ago, so I'm a little hazy. You guys can correct me on this. Like, one of Jigsaw's whole things is don't make it personal.
Correct. Yes, and it's his nephew, and he literally tells the guy, we never do anything for revenge,
Yeah.
and we never do anything for vengeance. We never make anything personal. Everything is always for our code, which is just to make people better. But except for when my nephew died, that guy's got to die. And by the way, Mitch's thing was the easiest fucking thing, and he ends up getting completely destroyed in the massive popcorn maker thing.
Yeah.
You know, the blender.
Saw tornado.
Yeah, the Saw tornado and Saw NATO. Anyway, clearly this is the one to take, right? The 355 one, but Carly's like, no, don't inject me with that because one's acid and the other one's like saline water. And so Ryan's like, and he stabs her with all 3 of them. And this is a gruesome death.
Dude, it is.
But it's the most pointless one.
Yeah, did not need to die. I did like the ticking time bomb element of them literally being hung by the chains. Like the tension was there and like having to be stabbed. But we all knew she was gonna get stabbed with like
all of them.
Get all of them.
Yeah.
And when it happened, and she just explodes from the inside via acid. This was like this is obviously a gritty reboot version of Saw. Like they're really just like, what is the most stupidly gruesome thing we can like put her through? And like it was so bad that it's just bad. It's not fun.
Yeah.
And she's saying 355.
Yeah, but I mean, he's hanging upside down, so he's like, I'm not going to bother.
But even before they started getting hung.
Yeah, I would have looked at him like, oh, I'm going to try this one.
And
you stab
I
her.
like don't. This is might be the only time I've ever sympathized with that guy because he's yelling at her to pick one.
Yeah, pick one.
And she's just like so freaked out by like this traumatic memory coming back that she can't vocalize it. But it's like, it's very clear that you could just pick that one and
pick
you'd be
55.
totally fine.
I
Like,
know.
don't
Make
be
the
dumb.
choice for. I know. Mitch spots more numbers on the inside of one of the syringes, which is the correct combo to the door to lead them to the next test. The coroner identifies the body. Halloran knew him, another of his perps. This is where we start setting up Halloran. Voice recording was a match for John Kramer beat CW. They realized the game is afoot or ahead or whatever they got to cut off next, if you know what I mean, Joe. Mitch and the heroes 3 head to the next room. It looks like a barn. Ryan can tell from a small window that they're in the countryside somewhere. Anna wants to know why Ryan is there, and he's pretty much just an all-around shitbag. He's like, I've done all these horrible things. And you figure that at that point, that's just enough to confess. But no, Jigsaw wants him to confess about a very specific time where he and his idiot friends were partying, and he was like, I'm partying too hard. They're like, you're partying too hard. Just like, I'm partying too hard. and then he jumps out of the car, and his friends die. It's like, I mean, I have sympathy for the 2 kids, but also like, you know what I mean? It's like you're all partying too hard.
And also like statute of limitations, for
Yeah,
the
dude.
Mr.
Like,
Saw, come on.
Come on, Mr. Jig. Mr. Saw. Ryan tries to use the door that says no exit, clearly despite Anna and Mitch being like, that's a really bad idea. And the trap ensnarls him in a wire, in the wires below. Mitch finds another tape that says play me, and as the wires tighten around Ryan's leg. They try to use the rake to grab it, but no. Jigsaw's got a camera under there or something. He sees it and he snaps that stupid rake. He's like, you got to go with flesh or nothing. And so Mitch grabs it and he plays it. And it's like, man, you got to pull the handle to set you free. And Ryan's
No,
like,
first he grabs it and then he's like, all right, here, you play it. It's like,
Yeah.
the homeboy's like in a lot of distress right now with his leg about to be chopped off. He's like, here, you fucking do the thing.
I mean, can you blame him though? Because if I was in any of this situation, I'd be like, I'm not fucking moving. I'm just not going to move. If I die here, I'll starve to death, but I'm not moving. 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't want to live with 3 of my limbs cut off and then for like 5 minutes and then die out. What's the fucking point? Also, that's the other problem with this is like nobody ever, we're back into the Hoffman era where nobody's going to get out of this alive no matter what, right? It's kind of shitty. I guess, no, this is the Jigsaw era where they could have made it out. But how? How are you going to make it out of the fucking grain mill with the thing coming down at you?
So
You had to
why is
grab
the
the
tape
thing.
so hard to get? Why is it on a pressure plate that it could like sever your arm?
Also, if we're in these traps, we Rochambeau for who gets to go into the goddamn grain thing. I'm staying out here so I can open the door for you. Or, God, for Christ's sake, wedge something in the door, people. When are you going to learn?
Yeah, you're in a barn and there's no shortage of like weird things to like use
Yeah.
to keep the door open.
I go like this. You grab the thing, and then you yank it and run to the door. You know what I'm talking about? Or tie
Yeah.
a loop around it. Let's figure this stuff out.
I guess John is watching this whole time, so he
There was a
can.
rake.
That's true because Pigman comes and attacks Anna when she tries to get out. Anyway, I digress. He goes, you got to cut your own leg off. We all know what set yourself free means. Anna tells him, good luck, lollipop, mirroring the words from earlier that he told her. Eleanor finds the swine virus in the saw blades.
Whoa.
Did we skip a part?
No, forget it.
Oh, we got to talk about Eleanor for a second.
What did you think you were going to discover right now? You thought you were going to discover something.
No, I
you're
just
gonna
think
hold
when
on.
Alfredo was saying the Edgar, like how would he say Edgar? I was like, oh wait, no. Like this is John. Like this is the test we're seeing is the original John thing, but no, Edgar was later.
Edgar's later.
Yeah.
No.
So
So
it's very.
yeah.
I know it's very.
Listen, take it
complicated.
back.
Also, I'm a little bit disappointed that we've said the word Edgar so many times and nobody's done a Men in Black impression.
Sugar
Thank you.
in water. More. More.
Thank you.
Means the world to me. Carly's body is delivered to the hospital holding Edgar. Eleanor finds a swine virus in the saw blades that killed dude number 1. She thinks she can track it down. Eleanor's also got just a fetish for everything Jigsaw.
It's awesome. Dude.
Yeah,
She's
and it's
such
kinda
a
awesome.
stupid character, but legit love her. I love it. I think this is awesome.
Carly's body gets delivered to the hospital. They take her to the morgue and they crack her open her chest and find an entire CD player in there. JK, they didn't find that. They actually just find missing pieces of her tongue, from her tongue. And Eleanor says that what we're all thinking, Jig fucking Saw.
Jig fucking Saw, baby.
And she's just
Damn
hot
right.
for it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
she's like, he's
Oh,
back.
she's so hot.
He's
for
back
it.
for it.
Jesus.
She gets
She's
on the
on the
dark
Jigsaw
web.
forums.
Oh my
like
God.
she's deep in it.
Yeah, Oscar
R
Isaac comes on
slash
screen and is
Jigsaw.
like, somehow Jigsaw's returned.
The lights go out from Mitch and the gang, and the empty grain chute lights up. TVs turn on, and these TVs are, in fact, 16:9 modern TVs with remote hanging just out of reach. Mitch's like, I'll lift Anna up, and she grabs the trigger. The door shuts right behind them. And then Jigsaw comes up one more time and says, you cannot escape the truth. Only Ryan can help you. Ryan, free yourself to free them. Ryan's like, God damn it. Grain, of course, starts pouring in and then stops filling up. Could have just easily killed them, but it stops filling up. And then sharp things start falling, which is hilarious because they're all so CG.
I appreciate. Oh, so this was some Saw 3D shit for sure. But I do appreciate that. Like they did the thing of like, oh, it fell near them. It fell right in front of them. And then they started actually falling on them. And I'm like, good for you, Saw, for having the balls to actually do that. Because I feel like other movies would have just been like, oh, they're safe though. But this is like, nah, he's getting no Saw to the shoulder.
Have you ever guys watched the videos about like people who get trapped in those grain like things?
No, but it's terrifying.
It's terrifying because like it's like the way that the grain moves and stuff like that. Like around your body, it restricts like your ability to breathe and then like your movement, and they have like these very like special like boards and stuff that they put on top to like distribute your weight to get you out. It's crazy.
I mean, Joey, you
But
know
they
how-
didn't make it feel like claustrophobic like I would have expected them
Yeah,
to.
we needed them to we needed to be in there, like like it filling up and like the vision going away and stuff like that. Like,
I just pictured like at the top of it. Or, I mean, there were moments as the grain is falling that I was thinking like, at what point is this going to be enough grain to where you could like stand on top of it? and
You
not,
can't though.
like-
That's the scary part
That's what
because it
Joe's
just
saying.
moves so
Can't.
much and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like we should have maybe been like prepared for these grain elevator things the way that we were as kids, like when we thought that
Wells.
quicksand was going to be everywhere.
don't
Yeah.
even say quicksand. Quicksand,
Yeah.
lasers, and wells.
Be careful, Joe.
This,
I know.
Be careful.
this fucking movie has quicksand and lasers, Nick.
It does. It does. And it-
And then when all the tools start falling off at the top, I just imagine like fucking a homeboy in his pig mask with like John next to him, be like, "Quick, fucking throw more, dude! Like get it in there."
We're out of
And it's just
saws.
we're
All we have
running out
left
of
are
shit.
nails.
I don't have anything else. Everything else I need to work.
back at the coroner's office, Detective Halloran asks Eleanor if she likes it kinky, but it's all a ruse. She's a suspect, though, because and obviously Logan did it, is what I wrote here. Anyway, it doesn't matter because she goes to this site called Jigsaw Rules a lot, and he's like, "Well, this lady's got something that she's hiding."
The only note I have about this part is Jigsaw rules, Vanderpump rules. I don't know what I meant by that, but
Why does that have to mean anything?
Word
you're right.
association.
You're right.
Lab calls. The blood from underneath Buckethead's nails matches the DNA test from 10 years ago. It's John Kramer.
It's pretty hype. And then they play the music, and I'm like, how the fuck are you going to explain this? I love it.
And then we get another lovely hallmark of this series. The following line from one of the worst actors I've ever seen in my entire life. And of course, it wouldn't be a Saw movie if there's a technician or an operator that works for the police that wasn't someone's cousin that just got the couple lines that were there, and they were like, just give her a couple lines. She's my, my sister's kid. It's John Kramer's blood, the Jigsaw killer.
Dude.
To which I would respond, look, I know we're in a fictitious world, and I know you're a fictitious lab tech. You're fired. Never say anything like that ever again.
It's so bad.
And she has more lines later. Anyway, Ryan can't bring himself to do it, and then sharp objects start falling, and Anna's like, if you die, we die. We're all going to die, so just do the damn thing. Ryan mans up and finally pulls the handle back, which cuts his leg in three. I was like, oh, for sure it's going to let him go. No, it cuts his leg off in three, and I was like, oh, he dead.
Yeah.
But it frees Anna and Mitch, and they pour out of the grain chute. Logan heads to the bar to party with Eleanor. Eleanor's like, how'd you find me? He's like, I'm a detective or something like that, right? I don't know. Logan doesn't like Halloran because he's a
One
loose
thing I
cannon.
did hate though in that initial sort of moment of them escaping through the grain thing.
Is the pitchfork?
Yeah, I hated
It's real
that.
bad.
So stupid.
Yeah.
So like
The Indiana Jones moment
Yeah,
Where she falls up and it's like
it-
right there.
s- So unnecessary, and it feels like they added it to have some extra last second thrill or something for the audience to laugh at, and it was just all kind of useless.
It
Yeah.
felt like a gimmicky thing that should have been like in Saw 3D.
Amen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Logan presses her for what's going on. He wants to know why Eleanor didn't take that job in Cleveland. And she's like, listen, I lied to Halloran about my alibi. I was at the studio. And he goes, what's the studio? And at this point, I'm like, yeah, what is the studio,
What is the
Eleanor?
fucking studio?
What's up? Anyway, she takes Logan there as Hunt and Halloran follow. They take pictures of the whole thing as it's happening from afar so they can warn. Eleanor has been amassing a fan collection of Jigsaw devices, the real ones. And man, this is that point where you're like, I really gotta, like, if you're dating this person, you gotta go, I really gotta take stock about how much I like about this person. Because if I like this person just a little bit less, I gotta run for the fucking hills.
A girl needs a hobby.
A girl needs a hobby.
But also, I just feel like his reaction was very chill for seeing all that.
Yeah, he did go, quote, what are you doing with all this stuff? You need to get rid of it now.
Yeah.
Like, and he said it like that.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck?
We do get a line where she turns one of the devices. It looks like a big blender, and she says, "Oh, that one right there. That's based off of one of his designs, I guess. It was never actually used. It was never an implement that was actually used in anything that we know of." Wink, wink, and it's like, oh, I get it. I see what we're doing here. Someone spikes Edgar's IV bag and wakes him up. Probably could have done that earlier, right? If we were in the hospital, if that was capable. And it tries to triage Ryan's stub. Logan wakes up next. Wakes up the next day. We see he wakes up next to his daughter. Sorry, we see scars in his back from Afghanistan, or we don't know.
Yeah,
Halloran,
this is the part where he looks in the mirror and it looks like he
Yeah.
has the bucket head thing on. It's like, that's kind of cool.
Halloran looks up Logan's war record and it's dark. Mitch finds another tape with his name on it. He presses play and gets strung up. See, this is one of those things where, like, I get it. It's Jigsaw. He knows what's going on. But this, I like it better when they have no choice but to place themselves into the thing. There's too many times we're relying on like it'll just like whoosh and like whip him up into the thing, that I'm like, something could have gone wrong there. That's not the Jigsaw way. Jigsaw goes 100% or 99%, 99% efficiency rate.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
He doesn't leave that much margin for error. And then this is like whatever. Anyway, he gets the old string up like Luke Skywalker strung up in the thing, and it's like, we got to put you in the blender, bro. This is easy. You sold my nephew a bad bill of goods, and he died.
This is the same engine that killed my nephew, he says. That's powering the Saw tornado. This is the most over-designed trap in the entire franchise, and it's just not worth it. It's
No.
fucking weird.
And
It's really not.
It's supposed to be so cool. Like the idea of it is cool, but it's just like
It's
this
just
is how we're getting
yeah,
there.
The look of it, all of it, it just seems like a weird theme park thing. Like it doesn't seem like it fits with any of the other things they've ever done.
Agreed.
And it's like
Yeah,
that
and-
weird red color, which I know is to like tie in the like actual
spiral.
spiral thing, but it just doesn't. It makes it look cartoony versus like evil.
Yeah.
Well, he gets
Yeah, it looks goofy as hell. And then when he is eventually just sort of flayed and just destroyed in that little grinder or whatever, and we get the blood splurt on Homegirl, it's done in such a. It just felt so comedic in its timing, the way that she gets hit with the blood in the face and she's like kind of surprised by it. All of this is just so underwhelming. I was very disappointed by this whole portion of it.
This reminds me of like, there's the Batman toys, and then there's like Hydro Thunder Batman, and he's like wearing way too many outfits,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
way too many
Yeah.
like accessories, and they're all bright yellow. That's what this felt like compared to every other Saw trap.
That's a great pull.
And then also, like when he gets shot out, Ryan's just weird, cheesy comedic reaction, where he's just like, "Whoa!" Like
Yeah.
on the hay bales.
Yes, he almost makes it, and then he doesn't, and he gets completely spit up and shot out, and like he looks basically like one of the de-skinned humans from the Predator movies.
Was there like really a way for him to get out of this one?
Yeah, he could have. He almost got it.
Okay.
He just needed to pull the brake on the thing, I guess, which would have stopped it. But
I
for
guess
whatever
aren't you skinned if you don't have skin?
what did I
Think
say?
about that. You said de-skinned. But just think, isn't that a little weird thing that like when you don't have skin, you're skinned? Think about that, everybody.
That makes, you know what, Andy? It's interesting that you say that.
Yeah,
Because you're right. If you had skin on, you should be skinned.
exactly.
But if you
But
don't
when
have skin on,
someone
you
says
should
like,
be
"Oh,
de-skinned.
that body's been skinned," they don't have skin.
Like, let me ask you a question. When coffee's caffeinated, does that mean it has caffeine in it, or it's not? It doesn't have caffeine in it
Exactly.
because it's decaffeinated to take the caffeine out of it. So we should be de-skinned. I
Yeah.
rest my case, Your Honor. If the
You did it.
glove doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Give him back his stuff. Give OJ back his stuff.
Anyway, Anne almost saves Mitch, but she can't get it done. He gets blended. Ryan freaks out. Hunt examines John Kramer's body and exhumes, John Kramer's body, and it shows it to the press, but it's not Kramer, it's Edgar Munson. Halloran gets a warrant for Eleanor's place and finds a secret room with a shrine to Jigsaw. He pulls a
Was
little light
Edgar
switch.
dead?
Yeah, he died. He killed him.
Okay.
He put him.
That was
Yeah,
also
I
like
don't
kind
ever
of
think-
confusing.
Well, I did earlier when Nick said that they spiked the thing to wake him up. I thought they were just spiking him to kill him.
Oh, but he wakes up. I just
Like
thought
I thought they were just poisoning his IV.
but he wakes up.
But he does look like,
you
you know,
know.
Yeah.
some
Yeah,
sort of
he wakes
sleep
up.
/coma.
But also, like, when they pulled the body out, it's also like, wouldn't they see that the body was put in there because all the soil would have been
Yeah.
dug up?
I had the same thought. I was like, this ground would have looked messed with, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, but I don't think they would. They don't care, right? The idea wasn't to make them think that Edgar had been in there for 10 years. It was just that he was doing a switcheroo.
But they
It was
looked
just
so shocked when they opened it versus like,
Yeah, they were
You
you
like,
would have
"Oh
an
my
idea.
God."
You have to imagine all the press got stuck in traffic and didn't get there until the first couple things had been dug. And at that point, you're not thinking like, oh, that's disturbed ground. That hasn't been there for 10 years, right? There's no overgrowth on that.
Disturbed ground.
Right?
No,
It'd
I
be
just mean like,
someone, like at the funeral place like that oversees it could be like, hey, this is disturbed. This
Yeah.
is like
Hey, by the
freshly
way-
dug up for some reason.
yeah, the fucking body of John Kramer, where his casket is,
Yeah.
it looks like it's been severely messed with. You know, like
I mean,
the dirt's all over the ground and everything.
yeah, but I mean, you got one guy that works in this cemetery, and yeah, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna keep
I
going.
feel like it could have
Just-
been like
I'm gonna
one
keep
of
going.
I don't know,
Never
chapel
mind.
thingies or whatever because you know he had money. And
Little
then all of a
mausoleum
sudden-
or whatever.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, he switched the body from there.
Yeah, you
know
think?
what I mean?
Yeah, you would
What do you think
John
he's busy
Kramer-
with all night,
You
Joey?
can stop, Nick.
What you
You
gonna
can
do all night,
stop.
Joey?
You don't need to keep going. You can,
Necrophilia is alive and good in the fields of Chicago. That's all I'm gonna say, Joey. All I'm gonna say.
Thank you, Roger. Thank you.
Let's see. Halloran finds what we assume is Mitch's body, drops down just like one of the Predator kills. And he's got a sign that says, and then there were two. But little does you know, he's one of the two. Hunt arrests Logan and tries to pin everything on him. But he talks to Hunt, letting him, excuse me. And then he goes, let me pull the slug from Edgar and I'll compare the two. And of course, he pulls a switcheroo. And the whole thing gets pinned on Halloran. Eleanor tells Logan she found the farm. Instead of calling the cops, they all just head there. Hallmark of the series. Let's not call any backup. Let's just
Never.
head there. That'll be fine. Well, we can't trust Halloran. Yeah, but you can trust anyone else that works.
Yeah.
Probably, right?
What do you think? Where's John Kramer's body now?
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
I'll answer your question with another question, Tim.
Great.
Where's the
An
cemetery
Eleanor's
keeper?
collection.
You know what I'm talking about?
Damn it, Nick.
Where do you think he's getting it to? Well, no one can find that body.
Oh my fucking god.
Anna manages to
You
open.
think, so you are claiming that the cemetery keeper is in on this, and as a reward
his
for
own
not
thing.
saying anything about this grave being
He gets
disturbed,
unfettered access to
he
John
was
Kramer's corpse.
Yeah, he was rewarded with this 10-year-old corpse of John
I
Kramer.
wish the COVID hit me harder.
Anna manages to open the door. There's no exit, but she gets pigmaned. She and Ryan wake up chained
I like that
to.
you turned that into a verb.
It's so good.
She and Ryan wake up chained to a bathroom. Jigsaw walks in, and you're like, "Oh my god, that's not Jigsaw," because he's in the robe. But then he turns it. He takes off a little hood, and oh my god, it is Jigsaw. And man, he's looking good with that soul patch. That he's
I
got
love it.
going on.
I love that this is like, all right, this is the youngest Jigsaw we've ever seen.
Yeah.
How do we show that off? And it's like, yeah, sick little soul patch.
I mean,
Good for you, Tobin Bell.
I wish he had like that little like lip piercing or like underneath the chin piercing.
that would have been incredible.
I wish that we would have gotten him in the backwards baseball hat again with a skateboard, you know?
I mean,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
just like add some more hair to him or something. You know what I mean? Man, that thing is just
so
That's real, too.
long.
Man,
He grew
I'm
that
telling
thing
you,
out.
Roger, can you just look up Greg Popovich? Like every time I see this dude, he just looks.
I see it.
He just reminds me so much of the San Antonio Spurs coach. Every time I see him, I'm like,
That's
God, that's
so
Pop,
funny.
dude.
Hilarious.
Fucking love you, Pop.
Let's see. He calls out Ryan for killing his two friends and being reckless. And Anna.
Yeah,
dude.
100%.
Let me see. Can I see one more time?
Do-do-do.
I don't know, that guy kind of looks more like Brian Cox from Succession.
No way.
No.
Down right, the one right below in the pink shirt, he looks
That
a little
one?
bit like. God damn you. God damn. I don't like when Roger does anything. What is it about that microphone? They gotta laugh like that.
I love it,
Everyone.
dude.
They all
I
do.
love
They
it.
all
There's
laugh
a
like that.
power in that room,
He's
you
a
know?
weird power. There's also a little weird funk, but whatever. We're not going to talk about it. Let's see. This is where these two square off, and he's like, "Y'all need to confess right now." But it's too late for that. And he's, by the way, the entire time he's tinkering with another trap that I assume we'll see in another movie, maybe Spiral. We don't know. And he leaves them a double barrel shotgun in the middle of the room with one shell, and he's like, "Kill or be killed," basically. But then he says something about it's reversed, and only Ryan picks up on that. Again, high stress situations. And he's like, no, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. He said it's reversed. And she's like, I gotta kill you. And she pulls the trigger, and of course, the thing backfires and blows her face off. But unfortunately, it also kills the two keys that were in there that would have set Ryan
Kills
free.
the keys.
And he's like, we could have been free, you damn dirty apes. And then he dies.
Yeah.
So what, to get out of that, they were just supposed to take the shell out of the shotgun?
To get out of it, she was supposed to say, I'm not
Yeah.
going to kill you, and then take the shell out of the shotgun. If she had opened it up, she would have found one of the keys in the other shell, hole, cylinder, barrel.
Yeah.
And then they would have been like, oh, where's the other one? I would not have thought to look in the shotgun shell.
No.
But I guess at some
No.
point you get desperate and go, maybe we'll do this. Or
But they show Jigsaw holding the shell and looking at Ryan, going, "The key to your salvation
Is in here. Yeah. Or not in here, but yeah. That's
is yeah."
you're right.
unfortunate. Let's see. Eleanor and Logan arrive at Tuck's pig farm, and the lights are on. Something's
yeah.
going on in there. Halloran tailed them there, and for some inexplicable reason, he hasn't even called his partner.
Now let's break this
No
down for
reason.
a second, okay? Because I think it's really important to say not only is this Jill Tuck's farm, it is a pig farm, aka the
Yep.
origin of Pigman.
Yep. Did you know, Tim, that the pig is an incredible animal that loves humans, and if you're sad, it's sad too.
When
That
you
has
say it
no
like
bearing
that.
on this project whatsoever. That's just something that he said in there.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that's like, okay, but you just kind of coincidentally ran out while it was like the year of the pig festival. Like, that's
Yeah.
like you didn't choose the pig as a thing. It just became a fucking, it was there when you got it, you know?
It's also a little bit weird that none of this, like, Jill's family has a pig farm thing didn't come up when, like, they were in the slaughterhouse and doing all of that stuff.
Yeah. It kind of
So
reminds me of
weird.
times when I tell stories, and then you guys wait a second and go, Nick, you weren't there for that.
Alfredo, that's happened multiple times.
How many times?
Infamously, there was one time where we were telling a story on a podcast, and then Nick interrupted me to tell the story, and he told the story, and then got mad at us for pointing out that he wasn't there.
Tim was telling the story wrong. Okay. I had to say that. This is an
We were like,
entertainment
"No, Nick,
medium.
but just let Tim tell the story because he was there.
We've all grown as
Nick
creators.
got so mad. He like walked out.
Let's see. Eleanor and Logan find the first test. It's all wrong. Only one of the doors is open. The rest are shut. And that's not how we left it. Kramer rigs up a very simple trap. He places his shotgun. Oh, we already got through that. Let's go. Let's skip ahead here. Of course, Halloran busts in and finds them. And then Logan gets the better of them. And they go off. They go start running. And then both of them wake up in the trap with lasers on their collar. And I'm like, oh, no, not the lasers. And of course, the idea is they got to play this game. Now, there's a lot of buttons on this console. I'm like, how does this work? It doesn't matter. Halloran goes, I'll go first, and slams the other guy's thing. And he goes, and then he has to confess that he did a lot of bad stuff too. And he's like, I used to frame people or whatever. It doesn't matter because the lasers kick off, and then they cut him, but they don't cut his face. They just cut his neck. And you're like, that's a little weird. And then it's Halloran's turn. And Halloran goes, no, I'll confess. I did all this horrible shit. I killed lots of innocent people. Which is like, that's going to be admissible as you're the actual killer. And then he looks up and he goes, oh, I don't see any burn marks above Logan's. And then, and he gets up like the little cat cow pose like you did. He's like, ooh, look at my tootie. And then
Look at my
he's like,
tootie.
and then he's like, that's right, motherfucker. It's me the whole time. And those lasers on your are real. Watch this. And he hits the button, and the lasers, and then his face opens up like the Demogorgon's mouth. And you're like, whoa, this is fucking horrible.
We also skipped over the like really long shot of the fake blood vials on the inside of their collar, and we're like,
Oh yeah.
okay, thank
No,
you for
well,
showing us.
we'll
Joe.
go-
Joey, he's smart. He's smart, Joe.
We'll go through all that.
But
Of
the
course, we show
problem-
beat by beat of him just doing all these things to plan this thing, and it's not fulfilling at all. And then he goes, Edgar Munson killed my wife, and you let Edgar Munson live because you were reckless. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. That's kind of a stretch.
It's all a stretch. I
Tim,
enjoy it.
right? Real quick, I just thought you were about to go, it's unpredictable.
No, I just think it's like this more than I think any of the twists in the movies is so designed only for the audience, which is us, not making any sense in the world.
0 sense.
Like it is such a presentational thing of him faking his death, to like faking the lasers, like him coming back up and all this just to kill the guy in front of him. Like it feels so weird. I know some of the other Saw movies, we've had moments where like they do something dramatic to be able to do their monologue and have the music play. But this one really just felt like he was going through the motions of like getting up in the same way. Like, they were just trying to replicate what they did in Saw 1 and then try to replicate a lot of the other reveals of The Apprentice and stuff. And it just, whether it adds up or not, there's something that's really wrong. But the thing that bothers me the most, that I feel like if they just changed this, I'd enjoy this movie a lot more. But there's 2 fucking lines. Instead of saying, game over, he says, I speak for the dead, which is so fucking lame. And instead of saying,
And not like a reference to anything else.
instead of saying, like, live or die, make your choice, he says, you have a choice, scream or don't. And it's like, y'all need to, that should have been revised. And it should have went back to just fucking say the lines. If you're going to just set up every single thing to just be the old thing, do the old thing. Don't try to make fucking Logan have a catchphrase, which is, I speak for the dead.
Yeah.
Close the door. Get the fuck out of here, Logan.
I think the issue I had here was, were they not at Jill's farm?
Yes.
Right? And wasn't Eleanor running away? She was running down the street. There was a car that will like essentially like found her and picked her up. She's gonna call the police and
Right.
tell everyone this location, this is the place to go.
Right.
Logan is trying to frame all of this on Halloran.
Right.
Did he not just slice him up into a million pieces?
You have
at
to
the
assume
barn?
that the next step is like hide the body and pretend like Halloran's gone forever.
Tight window.
Yeah, it's a very tight window.
And like to get rid of all of that blood
and the
and DNA.
which is not going to happen. But the other big issue for me, and this is just from the standpoint of the audience, is that you're supposed to. I don't know if you're supposed to or not, but I kind of got the feeling they were like, oh, we're really telling you that Halloran's a bad guy because he did all these things. Very similar to Stram and the other people who were like, hey, these guys are bad guys, so that's why he deserves kind of to die in this weird sort of cathartic moment at the end. But nothing that we've seen of Halloran in this movie at all has painted him as anything other than a very competent detective who was just trying to solve this murder. And so they tell you a lot. Oh, but I needed to see him being kind of a dick. I needed to see, and again, granted, one time
We
he was
need
a
the
little
Mark
creepy with
Wahlberg
Eleanor.
of him.
But yeah, we need the sort of like moment where he presses.
Oh, yeah, him. Sorry.
Get it
Show
right.
some fucking respect.
Show some respect to Wahlburgers. Okay, it's a very
They're all
subpar
the
reference.
same.
So it's always just so weird to me where they're like the character's like, oh, this guy's really bad, really bad, really bad. I was like, I don't believe it because all I've seen so far is this guy. This guy's the protagonist, so I'm not sure if I'm supposed to hate him by the end of this and feel vindicated that he got his head blown, like cut in pieces, or if we're just supposed to be left with a bad taste in our mouth like we were the other Saw movies. I'm just not sure.
Yeah.
But that is the end of it. And then
Yeah,
he
I
slams
would've
the
felt
door
like
for
he
no
was
reason.
more evil if he was actually the one to shoot Homeboy in the chest.
Well, like
Yeah.
here's an example,
That
right?
reveal took that away. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's weird. Like, he should have killed that guy. He should have been the one to actually kill him, right? Because he's like, oh, this guy had information or something on another case. But, like, here's a perfect example, right? Like, in Saw 2, I think one of the reasons why it was interesting and conflicting is that, you get I think it was Shawnee Smith who was like, hey, this guy put me away for a really long time, and he fucked up my life because I was an addict, and he did that on purpose because he planted evidence on me. And he goes, I did that. You go, oh, fuck, that's a fucked up thing. Like, that sucks. Granted, you don't deserve to get chained to a fucking wall for the rest of your life and then rot in a bathroom. But I'm now conflicted as
And
the
then
audience.
get put on an ice block and then have your head crushed by a
Right,
ice
exactly.
box.
Yeah.
after looking like a detainee. So it's just
He's
interesting.
still
Like,
out there limping somewhere.
With no head.
Yeah.
Oh, right. In this time frame, I don't even think
Yeah.
he's been. Oh yeah, no, he's dead in this.
And he's yelling, "I'm looking for Jigsaw, Mitch."
he's like, Jigsaw, Mitch. Jigsaw.
But the lines here of him just being like, I wanted to be identical to Jigsaw's game. Same choices. I wanted to see if I was as worthy as him, as talented. And it's like, you're fucking not. You're just
Not
weird,
even
dude.
close.
You're weird, Logan. I don't
He's
want
by
to be
far
Logan.
the worst apprentice, if we're
Yeah,
gonna
man.
call him that.
Boo-boo.
Yeah, but he does have kind of a fatherly relationship with Mr. Saw, and it's kind of endearing.
Which,
It
again,
reminds me a
Which
lot
is
of.
weird, though.
I would enjoy if we had any hints
yeah.
of this in the other movies, but we didn't, and he's supposed to be
Yeah.
here since day fucking one.
Did you guys get in that scene just for like 1 second the same amount of emotion as you got at the beginning of Up, the Pixar movie? Where it's like, the older
a real
guy.
question?
No, it's not a real question. This is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. It's like, what are we doing? And the son was like beaming in as he's like, let me show you your birthright, Logan. This is the Bear Trap. This is going to be a hallmark of our franchise, along with one terrible actress every fucking movie. What a
Nick,
weird
at
moment.
this point, the bear trap has become like the dice in Star Wars. Let's be honest.
No. No, the dice is still terrible. This at least had a purpose at one point in the series.
Yeah.
It's
But I
just like they
digress.
keep on going back to this thing and keep showing it to us to, hey, this is important. And it's like, we know, but you can't.
We saw it, guys. We
Yeah.
got it.
Lot.
So now it's time for a little thing I like to call ranking the traps.
They don't rank them like we rank them.
Currently, number 1, we have The Rack from Saw 3. 2, we have The Needle Pit from Saw 2. 3, we have The Reverse Bear Trap from Saw 1. 4, we have Blood Pints, a.k.a. the Bloody Buddy System from Saw 5. 5, we have A Pound of Flesh from Saw 6. Hearing Roger giggle is just so funny. A Pound of Flesh from Saw 6. 6, we have the racist Rune Goldberg from Saw 3D. 7, we have Bloodboarding from Saw 10. And 8, we have the Scalping Chair from Saw 4. Nick?
I'm gonna say the big blender is the memorable trap from this one, and I think we should put it dead last.
I agree.
Yeah.
The
'Cause
Saw
it's just
Tornado.
not good.
Dead last.
Yeah.
Anyone have
Spiral.
anything else to say?
Dead last for me as well.
I don't know. Yeah, like here's the thing. I don't know that that one was worth the build up to it being the last one. I kind of liked the grain thing with all the things flying out just because it was funny. But
Yeah.
either way, I'm gonna rank it last, so I don't really care enough
Yeah,
to fight for anything.
I want to put
Yeah.
the Saw Tornado as the last one because of how much I don't like it. Like, it's just like, it really is.
It's like a punishment.
It's just so over-designed. It's just so bad, man. So there it is. 9th place. Now it's time to rank the reveals.
It's that pivotal moment. It's unpredictable. This twist, unforgettable.
Number 1, we have Saw 2. Tape on playback. Amanda is Jigsaw. Kid in safe. Number 2, we have Saw 1. He's on the floor. Number 3, we have Saw 3D. Dr. Gordon is an apprentice.
That was awesome.
Number
Man,
4,
those are the days. Remember
Yeah,
those
are the
days?
days.
I hate that this movie makes me like Saw 3D
Right?
more.
3 weeks ago.
Number 4, Saw 3. It's Amanda's game. Jeff's the husband, and he has another game. Number 5, Saw 10. Fake cancer treatment. The cure is a lie. Fate precedes her.
Fate.
What
That was something Nick asked me to write.
Why did I do that?
I don't know.
Fate precedes
No, I
her.
said no. It's because it's something that I thought Joey and Alfredo at the same time
yeah.
said the words
Oh.
the fake procedure. And I thought they both at the same time, like without knowing that they were going to say it,
That's
said
right.
fate precedes her. And I
Oh
was like,
my God.
how did they know?
What's great about that is that Tim goes, fate precedes her, and then looked at me, and I had that moment of panic I get at least once per podcast where I'm like, I'm supposed to know what that means, and I don't know what that means, and it's probably my fault that I don't know what it means.
I love
For the
it.
first time, it's not your fault, though. Look at that.
Kind of is my fault though, because I asked you to write it down.
Well, here we are, number 6. Saw 6. Hoffman survived. It's his game. Amanda was there for his baby's death. Number 7, Saw 4. This happened at the same time as 3, and Hoffman is the second apprentice. And then number 8, Saw 5. Hoffman pulled off framing Strom.
Can I offer another suggestion? I think the biggest twist in this, arguably, and I'll argue for this till the day I die, is that the motorist that Mitch killed was John Kramer's nephew. And I think it should be dead last.
I will include that in this. But yeah,
Good.
the whole thing of this being like the trap's 10 years later is based on the first thing, and like Logan was a part of that trap and all that stuff. I don't know.
No, here's the thing.
It's dead last.
It's not a bad twist. It's an interesting twist. Had they done it better, had it actually hit at the end and not been really, really confusing. And the confusing aspect of it was, did he run another game? Or where did he get these bodies? It's too many things to fill in the blanks at the end to make the actual twist impactful. A twist should be so simple, you kick yourself for not having seen it earlier. And in this one, they're like, wait, this is how I really did it. Wait, and there's more. And it's like the Costco of twists.
Yeah.
It's just too much shit packed in at the end there, right?
I want you to call it the Costco of twists on the list, please.
I'm down for that. I agree. This this should be pretty high, and it's just too much is happening that it's very low. I would make an argument though that I don't think it's last.
Really?
I
I think
think
it's above the framing of Strom.
Hoffman pulling off framing Strom is so fucking weak.
Yeah.
Like it's barely a twist. It's not
I-
even a twist.
I still thought this was a little bit cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean the fact that Jigsaw's back and like I'm less happy about it because I'm not loving the movie, but I am wondering how the hell are they going to explain this away? And then the fake cancer stuff starts getting thrown around, the misdiagnosis, and I'm like, wait, so what does that mean for the rest of did they just break like their own lore? I was very confused by all of that, and I thought I was pretty impressed by how they actually kind of told the story of what exactly happened and how much earlier this was than Saw 1 and everything.
I would vote it at second to last.
Okay.
What's third to last? What's
Third to
second to
last
last
is-
right now?
Saw 6. Hoffman survived. It's his game. Amanda was there for his baby's
this-
death.
This cannot go above Hoffman
No,
surviving
I
with
agree.
that
No.
moment was so sick. Yeah, I put second to last as well.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Sure, go for it.
Then there we go. So that means number 7 is now Jigsaw. And there was a lot of stuff to write down. The Costco of twists. John Kramer's
Nephew.
nephew.
Which leads me to a lot of questions,
Killed.
frankly, of like, does John Kramer clearly has like some sort of sibling? What's the relationship there? How does
Ron
this all tie
Kramer.
into all this? Like, where's this sibling after all of this stuff happens? Because he is very much painted to be like this loner kind of guy, but apparently has this very close relationship with his nephew, enough to have this whole trap after this guy that killed his nephew, and then we never hear about anything else. It's very weird.
Very, very,
So
very weird.
unnecessary.
Now it's time to rank the Saw movies. Currently, at number 1, we have Saw 2. Roger, if you could bring up the rankings, please, that would be fantastic.
Pressing the button is not doing anything.
Oh, no. At number 1, we
I'll
have
write it
Saw.
on one of the TVs. Give me
We
a
have
copy.
Saw 2. Number 2, we have Saw 1. Number 3, we have Saw 3. 4, Saw 4. 5, Saw 10. 6, Saw 6. 7, Saw 5. And 8, Saw 3D.
Andy, we got him.
Oh shit.
Also, they're backwards.
I like number 6 was
Oh,
was.
Whoa! We got fucking Bodog Andy.
I mean, I think this is just last for me.
Saw
It's
3D
just
at
last
least
for me.
was fun to make fun of, and this was just kind of like, meh.
Yeah, this is a very clear cut last for me.
I could make an argument that this is number 6 for me, above
Number
3D, 5, and
6.
6. I could make an
Whoa.
argument. However, I'm not going to. And I am going to vote it last because I feel like there's so much joy to be had in Saw 3D with how
Yeah.
bad it is, and this just doesn't have the.
Even just the opening where they're fighting over like the
yeah,
girl.
Chad and JT. That was
Yeah.
so rad.
It's
Yeah.
just fun to make
Hilarious.
fun of.
Yeah.
Cool, man. He's like, I think we're breaking up with you, Deborah, or whatever her name was.
Jill getting fake railroaded by a train
Yeah.
Oh,
Jill
yeah.
fucking
And her,
dying
Yeah.
with
Jill
from a bear
finally-
trap.
from a bear trap.
Dr.
Jill also
Gordon.
with her arms out, just like with no purposeful bra on, right? Like she just
Purposeful
told
bra.
just shirt on and just like I'm gonna be my hot '80s self again, looking so good. God, I miss her. I miss Jill.
That was a twist. That was the best twist of them all.
Twist, everybody. Well, there we go. Jigsaw is number 9. Where will Spiral from the Book of Saw take us next week? This is another one I've only seen once in theaters. Good news is it is also only an hour and a half. So
Oh, we love that.
What's the bad news, Tim?
So this is something.
I mean, we'll just have to
We'll
fucking
get
see.
there.
We'll just have. I honestly like. It was the movie I saw most recently because it just came out
Yeah.
last year.
This is the one with Chris Rock, right?
This is the one with Chris
Yeah.
Rock.
Yeah, this is why Will Smith slapped her.
And
Wow. That's
didn't
why
like
I
that
never
movie.
read that
That
story. What happened again?
there's someone else in it, but you just watch it.
Oh,
Yeah, so
I'm
let's just
excited.
wait, let's just see. But that'll be next week, everyone. Spiral from the Book of Saw. Alfredo, where can people find you?
They can find me on roosterteeth.com under the group Dog Bark or youtube.com/Dog Bark Show.
Hell yeah, everyone. Go do that. And until next time.
There's hope yet.
perfect.
I got the
Oh.
COVID as COVID. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's gonna be ranked 9.